Hello everyone. In this video we are going to see about instruction pipelining. So first we'll see what this pipelining strategy is, and then we'll see what is instruction pipelining and how it is applicable to our instruction execution process. So pipelining is nothing but the process of dividing a serial task into concrete stages that can be executed in assembly line fashion. So what this exactly means is, we'll take an example and see. So for example, you consider a car manufacturing plant. So assume that the process that is happening to build a car is happening in 3 stages. So first thing is they need to build the frame or the body of the car. So that is the first stage, and then they have to install the parts of the car, and then finally the painting. Okay, so these are the 3 stages in which a car is getting manufactured. So the time taken, or how many cars that they can produce in 3 hours is 1 car. Okay, so let us assume this in this way. So now when this pipelining concept is applied, what happens is this serial task can be applied, and instead of producing or manufacturing 1 car in 3 hours, we can manufacture 1 car in 1 hour. So how is it possible? So all these 3 tasks were divided into 3 stages, where we can see that in one of the station, the cars where the frames of the car or the body of the car is manufactured. So that is happening in a different station, and once this process is over, this will be sent to the next station to install the parts. Okay, so the first car, as it is getting installed, now this particular station where the body of the car is built or manufactured, this will be free now. So while the first car is getting installed its parts, we can bring in the new car for building the frame of the car. Okay, so the second car is now getting built, the body part of the car is getting built in the station 1, and as the first car is getting installed its parts, now this can move on to the station 3 for getting painted. Meanwhile, the second car, which is already built its frame, it can now come to the second station to install its parts, because this station is now free, because the first car has installed its parts and it has moved to the next station for painting. So this station will be now free, so the second car can be installed its parts. So similarly, while this is done and while this is happening, the third car can come into the first station to get the body part built. So similarly, so like this the process goes on, and what happens, in 1 hour all the 3 cars can be manufactured with all its stages crossed over. So this is the pipelining strategy. Now we'll see what is instruction pipelining and why it is needed. So we always need our processor to be very fast. So several enhancements were made in different parts to make or improve the performance of the processor. So one such enhancement can be made in the organizational part of the CPU. So how this CPU can be organized, and how the enhancement to this organizational approach can make the processor fast. So that one such approach is this instruction pipelining. So here in instruction pipelining, so if we want to apply this pipelining concept to instruction execution task, first we need to identify whether the task or that execution process can be break into different stages or tasks, as we have seen in the previous example. So if that could be done, so that all these 10 tasks or any number of stages that could occur in sequence, then there is clearly an opportunity for pipelining. Now looking into this instruction cycle state diagram, here we can see that there are some 10 stages present in this, or 10 tasks present in this particular state diagram. So clearly it shows that we can apply the pipelining concept to this instruction execution task, and we can we can improve the performance of the CPU. So now we increase the number of stages in the instruction pipelining to 6 stages. So following are the 6 stages: fetch instruction, decode instruction, calculate operands, fetch operands, execute instruction, write operand. So from the name itself we can easily understand what it is. So reading the instruction from the memory into a buffer, and while we are decoding the instruction, the CPU will be able to find out what the opcode is and what are the operands, and calculating the operands. So to access these operands, the actual address or the effective address has to be calculated, and that may involve any of these addressing modes. It may be displacement, register, indirect, or any other forms of addressing modes can be used to calculate the actual address. So after calculating the actual address, the fetch operands, this stage is the fetching the operand from the memory, that is using that actual address we can fetch the operand from the memory, and the registers which are having the operands, that need not be fetched. And the 5th stage is the execute instruction. So once the source operands are fetched from the memory, the required operation has to be performed by the CPU using the ALU unit, and the result has to be stored in the given destination operand location. Finally, the write operand stage, where the result has to be stored in the memory. So the instruction execution process has now been increased to 6 stages. Earlier in the 2-stage instruction pipelining, we have seen that only 2 stages, fetch instruction and the execute instruction. So in the execute instruction, all these 5 stages will be covered there itself. But now we have increased the stages. So the first is fetch instruction, then decode, calculate the operands, fetch operands, execute instructions, and write operand. So you can see the timing diagram here for this 6-stage instruction pipeline operation, and here we assume that each instruction goes through all the 6 stages of the pipeline. So this is our assumption, but it is not necessary for all the it is not required for all the instructions. For example, if you consider a load instruction, LDA something, okay, some value is given. So here it is not necessary that it has to go through the write operands something, okay. So but here we assume that each instruction goes through all the 6 stages of the pipeline, and all of these stages can be performed in parallel, that is without any memory conflicts. But this is also not practical. For example, this fetch instruction, fetch operands, and write operands, these 3 stages, they involve a memory access. Now if you see here in this particular time 7, in this time unit, you can see all these 3 operations are happening simultaneously for various instructions. Fetch instruction, fetch operands, and write operand, all are happening at the same time unit. So this means that all of these instructions are accessing the memory, but in practical it is not possible, and most of the memory systems don't permit that. So here we have just simply assumed that there are no memory conflicts, and all of these stages can perform in parallel, to just show how this can happen. So here as we see in the two-stage pipelining, here the 6-stage pipelining also happening in the same way. So the first instruction moves to the first stage where it fetches the instruction, and when it goes to the decode instruction stage, the second instruction comes in during the second time cycle to fetch the instruction, and then when it goes to third, the next one comes. So similarly, simultaneously all these instructions were performing in parallel. Now the effect of a conditional branch on instruction pipeline operation. So in the previous slide we have seen that all the operations are carried out in parallel, and there is no memory conflicts, and there is no branch instructions. So now we assume that there is a branch instruction. For example, in instruction 3, let us assume that there is a branch instruction. So the instruction 3 is a branch instruction. For example, it may be a if loop. So what happens at time 3, it is fetching the instruction, then it is decoding, it is calculating the operands, then fetching the operands, and while it is executing the instruction only, we will be able to know what kind of instruction it is. So it is a branch instruction. So or to which maybe at this point we'll be able to know what the instruction is, but here after executing the instruction only, we'll be able to know whether to proceed with the instruction 4 or we have to go to some other instruction. So if the condition is true, then we will be proceeding with the instruction 4. But if the condition is false, if the branch is taken, then here we assume that it is moving to the instruction 15. So it is taking a branch. So assume that this if condition is false, and so it is moving to an instruction 15 to be executed. So what happens here, if you see, so till this point all the other sequential instructions were in different stages of the pipeline. For example, for instruction 4, it is already come to the level of fetching the operands, and instruction 5, if you see, it has calculating the operands, and instruction C is decoding the instruction, and instruction 7, it is the instruction 7 is fetched at this point of time. But now all these things cannot be used, all these instructions cannot be proceed anymore. So because during this particular point of time, it is found that the instruction has taken a branch and it is going to instruction 15. So instruction 15 is fetched at time 8. Then it continues to execute, and so following that, again the instruction 16 comes to the time 9 where you can fetch that instruction. So now this all these instructions were not able to complete because of this branch instruction, and we were not able to assume this branch earlier. So this we call it as a branch penalty. Okay, this we call it as a branch penalty. So this makes some decline in the performance also. So, and if you see that without having any of these branch instruction or something like this, it will be very useful. But when this branch instruction comes, there may be a branch penalty occurring. So this is a 6-stage instruction pipeline. So here we are able to give the 6 stages where we are finding whether it is an unconditional branch or not. If so, then it is updating the program counter and it empties the pipeline. So how we can overcome that? So we can find out the branch instruction at this point of time, and we'll be able to update the PC here itself, so that the pipeline will be emptied. Whatever the other instructions that were in the pipeline, that will be emptied, and we can continue with the actual branch instruction. And you can see the graph here, how this speed is increased, or how the performance of the CPU has increased with this instruction pipelining. So here the first graph is between the number of instructions and the speed up factor. The number of instructions, as the number of instruction gets more, and the number of stages are also getting higher, then the speed will be more, or the performance will be more. When the number of stages is 6, you can see the how much speed has increased, and when it is 9 stages and when it is 12 stages, how much the speed has increased. And here again it is between the number of stages and the speed up factor. So when the number of stages is more and the number of instructions is more, automatically the performance is increased, performance has increased, and the speed of the CPU has increased. So with this we have discussed all the things related to this instruction pipelining, what a pipeline strategy is, and how we can apply this pipelining strategy to instruction execution cycle. And with 2 stages and with 6 stages we have seen all these things. Thank you.